Hello, everybody. This is Anthony Bionis from Mission Start Podcast, and if you enjoy listening to us not only on the website but also on iTunes, be sure to check us out on Stitcher as well. Stitcher is an iPhone, Android app, also on other smartphones. You can download for free, and also registration is for free too. It's an app that you can listen to any podcast that is on there without ever downloading a file. When you register with Stitcher, be sure to put in promo code Mission Start or Conover or both, and you get to automatically be entered into a $100 prize every month from Stitcher. So be sure to check us out, support us, and we'll support you guys. Hello, everybody. This is Anthony Bionis from Mission Start Podcast, and this is the Conover, not Mission Start Podcast, as you might have heard from last week. Today with me, I have Jace, our videographer, out in the field of awesomeness, especially this past week.
I wish it was so awesome, but hello, everybody.
And he's with us today because we're going to talk about AOD that we just went to this past. Well, last weekend, actually, on this podcast. So before we get into it, Jace, how have you been?
I've been great. Busy, a lot of photos and videos away from conventions coming up, so it's been a busy last week planning and everything, so yeah.
Okay.
But it's all good.
Cool. Awesome. I have been knee-deep in schoolwork.
A lot of us are.
Yeah, school, website stuff. Yeah, all that junk. If you're listening to this podcast, please go check out the AOD coverage we have on the site. The photos, the photos, the videos, they're all up on the site as well as on YouTube page. You guys should check that out. Anyways, enough about that. We are here to talk about AOD. First off, I have to say this is my first time going to AOD. Jace, you said this is your second year going?
This is actually, oh wow, how many years have I been? I've actually been going to AOD since it was at the old hotel that was down the street on Van Ness.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
trying to remember what the name of it was. Cathedral Hill Hotel. Right now it's being renovated into a hospital, which is why the convention is no longer there.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow, so you have more experience with AOD than I have. Just quick question, as far as like how AOD evolved from where it began to where it's now, and did it generally start as a small convention at first, and do you still think it is a small convention?
You know, the attendance may have changed, but both the size of the Cathedral Hill and the size of what's the new hotel? I know it's
Hotel Hibuki?
Yeah, Hotel Kabuki. I was like, I know they say the Kabuki Hotel, but I know that's not the right way to say it.
Right.
They are generally about the same size for convention floor space. I mean, Kabuki may have a couple extra panel rooms,
right?
As if what I'm sure of, but for the size of like the floor, it was actually easier to get around because it was an open plot first, second floor area, so it didn't get as crowded. But that could also be because of AOD picking up attendance as well, and jamming everyone on that lower level causes that big backup flow.
Okay.
But normally the size of what they're doing is almost about the same, I would say, of what they have to offer.
Okay. Interesting. And I've noticed this is the 10th anniversary of AOD, so it started, what's today, 2013? 1993? it started from? Huh.
Um, it was 2013, so 2003.
Oh, 2003. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, of it's 10 years. Um, Originally, it was not called Animation on Display. It was
Hmm.
called I think Animation Overdose.
Why does that name sound so familiar?
Yeah, they had to change the name after a few years just because they were trying to get to the family-friendly nature, and animation overdose or anime overdose sounded like a drug.
Yeah, it
So
does. Huh. Okay. Interesting.
a little bit of your AOD history right there.
Right, definitely. Which is cool because I never really looked back into it because when I saw AOD last year or just kind of like, heard about it, I thought it was like a small convention that, happens on a weekend. It's like probably the same size as say, the smaller conventions as are like SatCons or just other small conventions. But when I went to AOD last weekend, there was it was actually attendance wise, it was actually bigger than I expected. Um, but the venue, like you said, I felt like it was small.
Yeah.
It especially I think when peak hours hit, like that one general area at the bottom first floor was very packed. It was kind of hard to to move around sometimes. Um, yeah.
And that one there can definitely be a fire hazard.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, yeah, like I think first off, I have to say that the venue itself is I think they need a bigger venue. Like the venue itself is too small. Even after the first time I've been there, it was very small. There were times where I felt like if you really wanted to buy something in the artist alley that were on the bottom floor, right next to the panels, whenever it got really packed and you're trying to walk around checking out the different artworks, it was kind of hard to do so. Or I remember, did they with the autograph sessions down there too? I remember.
I think so. I can't say for sure just because I kind of avoided that floor
Hmm,
during most of the hours.
right. I mean, I do remember that they had it in a dealer's room, but I remember I thought I swore I saw somebody, or I thought I saw a swore that there was some autograph sessions also on the bottom floor. I'm not quite sure on that.
I think they might have used one of the panel rooms,
Okay,
if that was the case.
okay, yeah. Um, but aside from that, I think that the cool things about AOD that I really liked was that the fact it was right next to Japantown, so it fit the convention quite nicely as far as like theme and culture and all that. I liked how what was it like the panels itself. There were some very good panels going on at AOD that I really want. I went to go check out, especially AOD at night, which was just oh man, I loved it. I think one of my favorite panels was the last two panels happened on Saturday night where it was it Cards Against Humanity with the special guest they had there, and then prior to that was the Jeopardy with the voice actors of League of Legends and other special guests they had, and they were having a really fun time. The staff seemed pretty chill. Like, one of them was like drinking beer on stage and they were chill about it. So there wasn't like nothing.
That's mainly what you get with probably more of the anime at night. I guess this year they started to add a little bit more for the kind of older audience.
Hmm.
Um, One thing that I remember with them, I think the first one I went, I think it was back in 2008. I'm trying to kind of confirm
Okay.
that. I have a video of me back at AOD in the first year I went. I think it was 2008, my first year.
Wow.
One things they've kept the same, they do not have a dance that goes on.
Hmm.
I remember one year they did have one, but it was sort of very impromptu,
Hmm.
and not a lot of people went. And normally they close off the con around 8 to 9 o'clock.
Oh wow, so that curfew is early, early.
Yeah, so I remember during my first few AODs, when I stayed at the Cathedral Hill that time, we would be down on the convention floor at maybe 10 or 11 o'clock, and there would be no one there. We would be sitting around just telling each other jokes and head right across the street to a donut shop that was usually open.
Nice.
So that was basically like the early stories of AOD and how it started. Basically, the few people who wanted to stay up late tell kind of not the best kind of jokes,
Right.
and we would head across the street and actually get like donuts and everything like that and hang out around there. So that was, I guess, kind of the more beginnings of the nighttime stuff for animation on display.
Awesome. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, I really. Here's the thing a lot about anime conventions, especially as I get older, or a lot of us get older. Is I really like the fact that they incorporate something for the older crowd than they do for the younger crowd. Because yes, you all want to be family. I know you want to be family friendly, but as far as like what you're dealing with, you're dealing with a wide range of age group from 1 to 18-year-olds, and then 19 to what's the oldest I've seen, like 50, 60-year-olds, maybe older.
Yeah.
So you have a wide range, and if you in something and put it in something for older people, I find that it's great, which is awesome in my opinion. So I really enjoyed those panels on that Saturday night. It was really funny. I don't think I can. It was funny. After I went on that Saturday, I was like, I don't think anything can top that for that convention for that weekend. But what was it? Yeah, like other stuff that I enjoy. Like the game room was pretty chill. It was open. It wasn't too crowded. It wasn't like SAC Anime where it was like completely just people were just like bunched into one room. It was hot. Everybody was trying to play tournaments at the same time. No, they actually spread out the tournaments, and also because there weren't that many people in there too, so that made the things easier to me to go in and out. Um, let's see. It wasn't the best or biggest con out there, but it was pretty chill for what it was.
Yeah, AOD tends to be one of the conventions, the biggest draw for it at either location. This one being more so is Japantown,
Yes.
because it is located right there. And I remember when it was at its old location, Cathedral Hill, everyone would walk from the hotel all the way up to Japantown, and that would be a place where everyone would hang out. Now with the con being up in that area, that's one of the biggest draws for the convention. It's more hanging out, talking with friends. So stuff like the game rooms and some of the panels tend to be a little bit less attended, just because everyone is talking with each other, and usually in like the pagoda area or kind of in the general outside area of Japantown.
Okay. Awesome. Now you've been an AOD vet from the sounds of the things. How was this year compared to the others?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, from what happened to me, I think we're starting to get to the point where some staff are starting to have that ego, which is one of the points where you can usually see a tipping point for a convention. And to be honest, I don't think it was all of them. And I think communication was a little bit lacking just because of how crowded it was with the convention this year.
Right.
So I think staff needed to talk a little bit more to each other. And I think that's something they need to work on. So I think just because of the size and how it's progressing, communication and staff really needs to be taken into consideration.
Okay. That's understandable. Like, the bigger an anime convention gets, the more staff you're obviously going to need, and that communication is very vital, especially if when compared to anything like, Anime Expo, Fanime, these big conventions like these are needing a bigger staff to maintain, thousands of people. And obviously it wasn't like thousands of people at this convention, but it was a good amount warranting more control over it.
Yeah. And I think this was the first time I've seen Flare actually working at this convention. I
Hmm.
don't know if they were limited on a few of the other ones, but Flare was out at this one. I don't know if you know what Flare is or...
I do not.
Okay, Flare is, I guess, a Bay Area company. If I heard this correctly, I was talking with one of them. And what they do is they basically provide security and logistics for conventions in the general area. So they handle like the fire safety, crowd control, and security, basically.
Oh, okay, I see.
So a few weeks ago, or not a few weeks, almost a month ago, I was at Further Confusion, which was in San Jose at the convention center.
Mm-hmm.
And that was actually the first time I saw Flare actually working. And what they basically did is Flare was handling a lot of the security. And after, I think it was 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, staffing for the general convention would be handed over to Flare, and Flare would handle it from there. Usually less people, but it's more of the older crowd and everything. So basically, Flare would basically be almost running the convention.
Hmm. Okay, I see. Okay, so they're like the equivalent of the security staff at SAC Animes that we always see all the time. Excuse me.
Yeah, except they're a company that gets hired out to basically run and provide that security. It's not the convention itself security, which I find good because you don't get that like ego in people. They're more kind of level-headed and they don't have a bias over really anything.
Right, right. Okay, that's cool. Um, so, uh, what were some of the good things you came out of AOD last weekend?
A lot of friends hanging out there. I mean, that was a lot of it. I mean, I did have a stressful time, but, AOD is always a great time for me to just meet up with a lot of friends that I haven't talked to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I got some photos out there, meet a lot of people I haven't seen for a while, and it's usually generally a good time. I think one of my favorite times was I went to the My Little Pony panel.
I wish I was there. You know what's funny? It's like you remember that tournament I was talking about earlier when I was with you at the in that little garden area?
Yeah.
Um, well, I got pretty far and I missed the panel, so I couldn't do nothing about it.
I missed I'm missing a chunk of the beginning and probably a good chunk of the end. I wasn't able to stay throughout the whole thing.
Okay.
I had some friends and I promised them dinner that evening before I
Mm.
had to leave. So what I did manage to stay for was we watched the Princess Coronation, so the season finale.
Ah,
Because it
okay.
was released earlier that morning. Not a lot of people saw it.
Oh, it's right. Yeah, because it came out on that Saturday. Yeah.
I was able to at least watch it before I left for AOD.
Mm-hmm.
They did play it. And the thing about watching it with everyone in there, because I know a lot of people in there are bigger fans than I am, they catch a lot of the small details that I wouldn't have caught watching it by myself.
Mm.
And I kind of had to watch it again a few times after that to kind of see what they were yelling at and pointing out. At the end of episode 13, they have Lyra, I guess, jumping up in the background of it being crazy. So
Yeah.
they were that out. It was a general good time. I brought my bass cannon if people saw me walking around with that. And one of the people running the panel was a big vinyl scratch fan and had me bring it up to the front of the panel. And we basically had mini rave in there.
That sounds awesome.
Started glow sticking and poi at the front of the room. We had all the lights out and everything. It was a fun time.
Nice. Wow, that sounds so awesome. What was it? when you got there to the My Little Pony panel, what were you just watching the episode? Did they miss out this
In
morning?
about 5 minutes into the episode.
Oh, I see. Okay. Huh. All right. So they were just kind of catching up with everybody and just like, all geeking out, like, oh my God, Twilight became a princess. Yay.
Should all know that by now. If you don't, you should watch the episode.
Yeah. She becomes a princess. Everybody, spoilers.
Yeah. Well, we always figured that out at the episode name Princess Coronation.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
even was it even like I think like Time or some magazine like leaked photos of her in her outfits like, oh yeah.
Alicorn Twilight.
Yeah, huh. I wonder what's gonna happen in this episode. But that's cool. Speaking of panels, again, like I said, the panels I went to were pretty awesome. There was one other one I caught half of that I wish I caught. Like I wish I would have gotten to the full panel of it. But at least I got half of it. I went to the what was it? The panel with all these small indie developers. Who well, I think a majority of the cast that were there were the Skullgirls cast that helped make Skullgirls, and they were talking about how any development really is versus bigger video game companies and how they run their things, and it was very interesting. It was very informative. Also because I'm a Skullgirls fan, so it was awesome seeing like in person, some of the creators like Mike Z and the artists and everybody over there. So,
Oh
um,
yeah.
yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, that was really awesome. That and it's funny. It's like as somebody who loves fighting games, like I feel like I was like the only guy like that was a fighting game fan when I went to the League of Legends panel because like everybody like loves League of Legends. Don't get me wrong, I play the game sometimes. I've been meaning to get back into it, but like I went up and asked a question or more like a thank you to the voice actors, the Cal Herbert and then Christina V, and it was funny too because like prior to asking them, I went up to one of our was like our coworkers, Kristen,
Yeah.
and I asked her, because I totally had that moment when I forgot Christina's name. I was like, "What? Hey, what's her name again?" And she tells me, and then the guy that was with the mic, like I guess assumed I was trying to run up to the stage, because like we were seated at like at the side of the convention of the panel room, and like
Hmm.
I guess he freaked out and he went over to me, he was like, "Are you gonna ask questions?" Like, yeah, yeah. So he's like, he just ran over to me when I got up. So that was just funny to me. But yeah, I thanked them for, helping out with the Skullgirls game, and it was awesome.
Yeah, that was I think the one thing my friend who was with me was helping me out that day.
Mm,
Um, he was trying to make it to the League of Legends, and we didn't know that they had that panel there.
mm-hmm.
And he thought he saw a few of the voice actors sitting outside, and he's kind of mad at me for that because he's like, "You don't know how hard I would have ditched you to go see that panel." I was
uh,
like, "I would not blame you, but we didn't know that the panel was there until the panel was over."
yeah. Yeah, yeah. But we had a great time there. A lot of laughs, and it was pretty awesome. Aside
And don't forget to check out the YouTube footage for the League of Legends panel that is up on the Mission Start podcast YouTube page. So
Yeah,
be sure to check it out.
I was gonna try to plug it in all the way, but yeah, people can find it there. The full panels are up on that site. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, I can't really say much about the convention because, like, because here's the thing: if you have a small venue and you have all these things like in one combined building, kind of have half a building, it's like you cover everything within the first 30 minutes, and the only thing really keeping you wanting to go to the convention is for the panels and in the game room, and then maybe you want to buy a few things here and there, but like it's not it really limits what you can really do except for going to Japantown. So
Yeah. AOD really has overrun its venue for the past few years.
they've been in it had been in yeah, they've been in that same venue for the past several years?
Yeah, after it moved from Cathedral Hill, it went to the Hotel Kabuki, and
Wow.
it stayed there.
Wow.
And it's been getting bigger and bigger, and I see it being the downfall of the convention if they do not get a bigger venue or figure out how to split stuff up.
Yeah, wow. They really need to move. Like maybe hopefully hopefully they'll look at the numbers they got this year and hopefully in previous years to figure out, we need a bigger venue. Do you think they have enough money to do it though? Because like AOD, I mean, like they've been going on for 10 years, but I'm not quite sure what the budget is for AOD as far as like how much they can spend on getting voice actors and space and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would, even if it means cutting down a little bit on some of the people they're able to get in for the first year, if they do move locations, I
Mm-hmm.
think it would be a wise choice for them.
Mm-hmm.
Just one, it's becoming a fire hazard, and two, it causes problems for the guests because there's not enough space.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if here's the thing, it's like it's all well and good if you get voice actors that are awesome at a high price, but at the same time, like them, they're also attendees, and the attendees at the convention are going to be stacking up in the hotel, and the less space you have, the less, I guess, inclination to really stay at the convention versus going to Japantown. Speaking of Japantown, though, you actually no, take that back. First of all, uh, as I discovered along with I guess everybody else, the area to where which Japantown is that outside area where that big tower is.
The pagoda.
Yes, is where I believe everybody was hanging out if they wanted to chill, eat food or whatnot. The same type of kind of like the same open grass areas like you would see at SAC Anime, or like say Fanime up in the like in the front. So I kind of discovered that, and that was, that was relaxing. It's obviously not part of the convention, but it might as well have been. So
Yeah. And from a photographer standpoint, and most of the photographers, we go to AOD and we take photos. And the main two locations that we would take photos that are right next to the con would be either the garden area in Hotel Kabuki or the pagoda. If we go off-site, there is the church that is down the street from the convention, and that's also another location, but most of the cosplayers do not want to walk there, so...
right.
But that's also a great photo shoot location. Now, the problem with this year, also with the numbers in attendance, the pagoda became very crowded.
Oh yeah.
Especially between the hours right before, I guess, there was a Homestuck gathering and the trailing hours of the Homestuck gathering. One, I have to say this now, no hate against Homestucks. I'll appreciate every fandom just as much, and I'll be honest, I don't know the Homestuck fandom very well. I know a lot of friends in the fandom, so I'm not going to put anyone down, any one person or a fandom down just because of my personal experiences, and my experience does not represent the voices and opinions of Mission Start Podcast. Yeah, I'm going to say all of my little spiel just because I did have problems with the Homestuck fandom at AOD, and it doesn't mean everyone, but from a photographer standpoint, I know there's other photographers out there who probably will stand by that, is photo bombing a photo the first 2 or 3 times is funny. When you get maybe 10 or more times of photo bombing, and when it's really crowded in an area and you're trying to get one good shot, it becomes an irritant and very hard. And that's the one thing with the overcrowding of the pagoda. That's a lot of where the photo shoots take place. And then having so many people out there makes it really hard on everyone, and we lose one of the great photo shoot areas.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially if you're taking a picture, you're trying to, especially trying to do a photo shoot like at what was it? In the one area in the convention center or
Area.
yeah, it's because people are not only are there people already there crowded, but also got people in the inside of the building where you can see through. It's kind of hard to really grab, say, a certain area to do a photo shoot unless you went outside a convention and went to somewhere else. Although even then, there was people, crowded in other areas. So yeah, I can definitely see how this becomes a very big problem for photographers.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why I say we need a bigger location, just because you get the overcrowding of
Mm,
the areas.
yeah. Okay. Um, I was going to talk to you about. Okay, so I wasn't there because I was off eating food and I forgot about it. But how was the Harlem Shake? Like, take me to the process. Like, how many takes did you have to do before you before it was finished?
One take.
Oh wow, no way, one take?
Yeah,
Wow.
we basically went with it. Um, about the time it came 3:30, we were already starting to get people. We were waiting for more to show up because we knew I think there was 30 something, 40 something on the Facebook page
Mm-hmm.
that had confirmed. So what we did is we filmed the one person starting, the Harlem Shake.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we basically gave, the everyone thank you for coming. And I think our total number from what I counted was 54 people.
Wow, that's really good. Wow.
Yeah, so we had a good turnout for it. And basically what we did is we gathered everyone in the circle of the water fountain that's across the street from the pagoda, which
Mm-hmm.
is right across from Shabuzen in that same area.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you gather there, everybody in there. Most of them knew what it was, and we just explained, once space drops, go crazy, do whatever you want, do something interesting. Um, then we played the music all the way from the beginning, had people kind of get warmed up, and right when it started, just had them go.
Wow. Yeah, the video came out great. It was funny. I showed my dad, and my dad really got a kick out of it. Yeah, it was really cool. I think, I'm not mistaken, I think your video may be one of the early cosplay convention Harlem Shake videos out there, as far as I know.
I know there's a few more, but I don't think any of them were US based. I know a few of
Ah,
them were out of the country.
right. Because the Harlem Shake is just recently like a new meme that just happened to just catch on like a fire starter.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to say this. We did catch it right over the top of a lifespan because a viral video,
Mm-hmm.
it'll go right up, it'll peak, and then it will drop off.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when we filmed it, it's kind of iffy because we're already at the point where it's already hit its peak, and now we're on that downward spiral of this is just becoming annoying and oversaturated.
Yeah, I know. It's you know what, it's early in the year and it's gonna be used over and over again.
We're gonna see it throughout the rest of the year. I know it.
Yes,
Um,
I bet you $5 that we'll see it at the masquerade at whatever convention you go to.
yeah, people are gonna work it into something.
Yeah, yeah. But what was it? I mean, it's cool. Like it was really awesome that you did it and it turned out great. Um, it's just I don't understand how it got so popular. I really don't. It's like I find it funny that we switched from one popular thing in Gangnam Style to another popular dancing thing. So
Yeah, and the thing is the Harlem Shake, the original came out, I think it was early 2011.
hmm
Then they did a re-upload just recently, and that's when it took off.
interesting. Wow.
So
Oh,
it's been around for a while, but it didn't really catch, light on fire and set its way to become this big meme until just recently.
right, right. Wow. Um, but yeah, sounds like it sounds like everything considered, AOD was It was still fun. Aside from all the complaints we have, it sounded like, you had a lot of fun and all that good stuff.
I had fun, but it was stressful, and the con did make it a little bit harder on me than I would like for it to be.
Okay.
Mainly dealing with their garden area.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if any of the staff of AOD is going to be listening to this podcast, but I want to say, get your facts right. Because I came back later on in the evening and people were doing some of the stuff that they were yelling at us for earlier in the day.
Oh.
So my first photo shoot I had, it was one of the staff from the, it looked like the ConOps room was coming out into the garden area from the walkway on the far side. And we were getting yelled at for not standing on the big paver stones.
Yeah,
If you did not stand on those, you got in trouble. If you could not stand in the small river rock stones, you had to stand on the big paver stones. You could not touch, sit, or stand on any of the bigger rocks. I can understand standing on them because that's a hazard.
Right.
Especially the ones right around the fountain. But not even touching or sitting on them, I think that's going a little bit overboard. And then that archway area, while I was filming one of my videos for the Just Dance 4 video, which I'm going to release a teaser for, but I got yelled at from, I guess, one of the staff saying I can't be blocking that area because it's a staff exit and I had to move.
Interesting.
And I'm like, well, a lot of people take photos there and you can't be standing in that area. But later on the day, I saw people standing, sitting on rocks, blocking up that area.
Right. Yeah, because I was there when they kind of made that announcement, like, to everybody. And even though people, like, did obey what they said, like, later on, they just did it again. So it's not, I mean, it's not like, I don't know. It's not like, they can really control what people do unless, they have, like, somebody watching, 24/7. But, yeah, like, this is the pod.
That really happened.
Yeah. So yeah, like by all means, I enjoy your honesty, like, for how you feel about whatever on this podcast is for conventions, because that's what we do on the Conover. We don't hold nothing back. We're real.
Yeah, but someone needs to talk to someone and figure the situation out. Because I remember last year they did make a deal of you standing or sitting on the rocks right by the fountain.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. It gets wet, it's slippery, you can fall in and hurt yourself.
Right.
But the small river rocks on the outside, you can't step in that just because it's going to move rocks around. I mean, it's going to happen no matter what, especially with the overcrowding. You're going to step in those rocks no matter what. There's no place to stand.
Yeah, definitely.
And also for photo shoots, you don't want to have to be standing in that. You want to sit down. You want to, like, crouch on some of the other areas, and we weren't allowed to do that.
Okay. So obviously, as you might have heard from this entire podcast, me and Jace both agree. This convention must move to a bigger venue. It would,
yes.
Not only would it help AOD itself out, it would help out the attendees, the staff working there, and then whatever they move it to, I'm sure it would help out the businesses around it as well. Because if there's anything we learned from SAC Anime, is that if you move it to a place where there's a lot of open area and there's a lot of food places around that area, those businesses will go up in, like, as far as, like, profit within that weekend.
Yes. And AOD, I'll plead with you because I know you ran out of hotel rooms at the Hotel Kabuki and you started booking rooms over at Hotel Tomo. Hotel Tomo has convention space. Think about renting that out and moving some of your panels or main events over to Hotel Tomo and splitting it between the two hotels. They're walking distance apart, and it would be a step in the right direction to getting rid of some of the crowding. And I think a lot of people will agree with that. I mean, it might be a little bit of a walk, but we're not going to have that huge overcrowding of that bottom area if we see it moved out into a few extra areas.
Is there room in Hotel Tomo? Because I was there rooming with some friends, and I went to the cafe they had downstairs. But they have like do they have open space on the first floor or?
A little bit, but was looking through their website, and they do have convention and meeting space in Hotel Tomo.
Huh, interesting.
I think it's on one of the other floors of the hotel, but they do have it there.
Interesting.
So I think maybe like moving the artist alley or something out of that bottom floor,
Mm-hmm.
move like artist alley into the where the dealers area is and move dealers over to Hotel Tomo, or
Right.
move panels over there. It can relieve congestion.
I see. Hmm. I won't be the logistics, everything about it, but as far as like, what AOD plans to do, it's their
That's
own
up.
business. We're just, it's just ideas that, we're putting out there. If they should choose to do that, then, hey, give us some credit.
Yeah, sponsor.
I know, right? Yeah, sponsor finally. Um, I'd like to thank you, Jace, for joining me for this podcast talking about AOD. Where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me facebook.com/rave to the J. You can also find me on Twitter at rave to the J photo. And on my personal website, ravetothejphotography.com, which will link you to all my little sites and my YouTube channel.
Cool, awesome. And you can follow me on Twitter if you wish, at Defective Naruto. You can also follow the work that we all do on our website at missionstartpodcast.com. We have all our social media there. If you want to follow us, right in the front page. We have tons of coverage from this past AOD, including videos, photos. Convention report should be up by next week if I work on it very soon. As well as other stuff, especially CustomCon coverage that we just put up as well. So go, you guys really check those out. But yes, next convention what is next convention we're gonna do? What's today?
Today is the 23rd.
Okay, I think the next one probably will be okay, so Daikon, yeah, the Davis Small Convention, and then after that Fanime, unless there's like another convention going on.
I'm actually going to be attending the biggest little furry convention in Reno, so
Nice, awesome. Quick
I
side,
got bugged to do that. So
that's awesome. You know what's funny? Quick side note. Speaking of Reno and just Nevada in general, like, have you been noticing like the number of just conventions that are happening to just wanting to be in Las Vegas? Like,
yes,
seriously, like here's the thing, because I was like, first it's like, Otakon announced their second convention going to be in Las Vegas, which is for next year, which is it's awesome. Because I always want to go to Otakon for a while, but never got the chance to until next year or whatever. And then like was it? I know the Anime Vegas is already there. They have their thing like every November or something like that. And then what was that? Their anime convention just announced that they're going to be there as well this year in June. So it's funny how how some, I mean, it's cool that they're doing it, but it's just funny how that's starting to happen.
yeah, we're seeing, I think it's both Reno and Las Vegas. One, because you can gamble there, and I think they're catering to that older crowd a little bit more now.
Oh man, yeah, definitely. It definitely does.
Yeah, like the for biggest little furry convention, they're actually handing out like poker chips that have like the convention name on it.
Oh, it's so sick.
So I think that's going to become a thing, those two locations where you're able to gamble.
Mhm.
Also, what we're seeing with, was it Otakon,
Mhm.
where they're moving there? We're seeing a lot more conventions start up secondary conventions. Like SAC Anime has Back Anime in Bakersfield.
Mm-hmm.
NordCon having 2 locations. There's one that I think was in Europe who's moving over here this year as well.
Right.
I forgot the name of that convention. But we're starting to see conventions start 2 locations now.
Wow. Yeah, and especially because I definitely agree because for the longest time I always knew about PAX Prime and then PAX East. Like they started and they just like put another convention in Australia. Um, wow. I mean, we're getting to a point where like almost every major convention is gonna have like 2 conventions for on both sides. It's I think logistically, I think it's a plus. I mean, you are getting like the same or bigger amounts of people going to these conventions already. Why not expand it to the other side that never has a chance to go, or make it easy for them to go to the convention.
Yeah, which is nice, but you know what? This is actually a whole nother podcast that we could
I
talk
know,
about.
I know. I really want to talk about this, but that will be for another time. Again, thank you, Jace. Thank you everybody for joining us for this podcast, and we will see you all next time.